Welcome everyone to the 2010 Linux distribution edition. Basically, people keep asking me about RedHat fork. We discussed it the other day and I find it so hilarious. I just made a parody on the main channel. Or parody? No, totally serious announcement. Breaking news, Exacode is investing 10 millions of euros since 2003 in open embedded T2 Linux. But in a more serious note, first Oracle the other day after the RedHat GPL closed source yada yada previous video. First Oracle announced the other day, keep Linux open and free, we cannot afford not to. The multi-billion-dollar company, right? And Oracle is not a Linux company, right? Oracle is from this poor man once upon a time walking from door to door trying to sell some shit to one of the richest software companies with failing databases and stuff, and only later with RedHat success and stuff they forked that already to Oracle's broken Linux. And what has Oracle ever done for us, right? Except maybe contributing a little bit to better as stuff. But that is a general story, right? What have these big commercial Linux distributions ever freaking done for us, right? Linus Torvalds made this tiny little hobby, and all people always glorify Linus Torvalds so much, but in reality he was just at the right time, at the right place with the right GPL thing between already existing BSD Unixes and stuff, and not the greatest invention since sliced bread, just a tiny little hobby Unix fork, right, that just happened to gain some momentum, but still no desktop Linux. And because Linus Torvalds has not written all this stuff himself, right? He has written the first 0.01 version, and then there were Alan Cox and so many others, like also network stack and network drivers, David Bauer or David S. Miller, was it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So there were 100, my point is there were 100,000 people, right? Even KVM, I said the other day, from Qumranet, so from Israel, like even other major components, right? Why has RedHat not invented Linux virtualization? Why? Sure, they later brought it, right? But it was invented in Israel by Qumranet. What has Oracle ever done for Linux, right? They write here, they can't afford not to. I mean, they fork Linux and make more money with it, right? But it's like, yeah, come on, Oracle. I sit here, it's like a parody, satire, comedy shit show, right? And like gets a popcorn out, like who is next whining about some, like, are those real companies or what? Or are these tiny little boys crying about their lollipop that nobody took from them? Or are these real men flying their private jet and sailing around the world and stuff and enjoying their golfing? They write here, I mean, I don't even read this all, it would be too boring and pointless bullshit. More on my main channel of our own investments. Otherwise, Oracle has been part of the Linux community for 25 years. For 25 years? That's a good joke. That is on them. Their goal has remained the same over all the years. Like, where have they been 25 freaking years ago, right? Like 25 freaking years Oracle was nowhere. By the way, did they not also purchase BDB and then fucked up the license? And the same Oracle that fucking sued Google, sued everything they could for probably 100 millions in attorney fees here for 8.8, seeking 8.8. The same company wants to tell us something. They were committed to Linux. Where the F have you been 25 years? Except, right, you were suing the heck out of some things like Google for APIs. You nearly ruined all of software development, for God's sake, right? What? How dare you? You say us anything? And where have you been in 1991 or 1995 or the year 2000? Where is your Linux desktop, all right? The engineers team making significant contributions to the kernel file system tools, like, yeah, it's in the grand total scheme of schemes. Linux, the true story is, in my opinion, Linux would be 99% the same as it is today. There would be the Linux kernel, there would be the glibc, there was a Free Software Foundation, there was GCC, there would have been LVM and Clang. Sure, it would be a little bit different. It would not be such monsters, oversized, overblown code repositories with each commercial feature someone added. Would we have a compiler? Yes, of course. We had a compiler before RedHat. We had a compiler before SuSE. We had a compiler before GCC. And LVM, sure. And even Apple. Probably Apple put more money into LVM Clang with employing the core people there around Chris Lattner, his wife, and some friends and family. Then all the other companies probably combined. And not to say I'm not the biggest fan of Apple, right? And all those companies, it's like whining here, like small kids on the playground who don't get to the swing and slide fast enough or need to stand in line, right? They sit in a free candy store, and none of these companies, not RedHat, not SuSE, and not freaking Oracle of all of these companies, do all the open source stuff if it would not be for tremendous profit, right? For all those companies, all the management overhead is for sure 100 times management and profit margin overhead than what they contribute with their tiny little file system or so that people don't bless the most for lack of stability and stuff. Anyway, we would run on X4 fine. We would run on Riser 3 fine. We would even run on JFS, XFS, or any of the other dozens of other file systems. So, in the long story, they whine around here, while Oracle and IBM have compatible Linux distributions. They have very different ideas. RedHat, thousands of people spend their time writing code, yada yada, their blog posts and whatnot. And do they write here invest, whatever? Yeah, basically whatever, yada yada, something. Then further, SuSE chimed in the other day. SuSE preserves choice in Enterprise Linux by forking RedHat Enterprise Linux with a $10 million investment. It's like, are you got to be kidding me, right? You have, for what do they pay their freaking companies, right? The people need to get code one-on-one here on my channel. They need to get free UI and usability design here on my channel. And they can't even do PR properly. RedHat ruining their public relations. And now SuSE does too, right? SuSE was a relatively own distribution for decades. Why do they, for God's sake, need to fork RedHat again? Are there not enough forks? How many forks of RedHat do we need, right? I said years ago, I said on my Momine channel, does Linux kill OS innovation? And this is month after month, week after week, sometimes even day after day, I'm proven right. Imagine if Oracle, if SuSE, if RedHat would do their own innovative OSs, like Next Step, like BOS. But no, we still don't have the Linux desktop, because even big mega corporations, not only Puppy Linux forks from Slackware and T2 Linux and mixes stuff from Debian and T2 Linux again, but even the big companies, they fork their shit again and again. They ruin their, like all those companies for the open source. Even RedHat, previous video, ruins their open source developer relation with pissing on everyone. By the way, pro tip, RedHat, you don't urine against the wind, right? It's like dew. It's like, or shoot your, it's like even if you're an American company, you don't shoot your own food, right? Anyway, instead of focusing on their success of their SuSE desktop Linux and finally getting some freaking market share from Microsoft or Apple or so, they have nothing better to do with SuSE and OpenSUSE and who knows what. I didn't even follow their distributions, whatever, open build system, fork of whatnot, and fork and spin and who knows what. They need to allegedly invest 10 millions, fine print applies, forward-looking statements, any statement in this press release about future expectations, plans and prospects for the company, including statements containing the words aim, target, will, beliefs, anticipations, plans, expects and similar expressions may constitute forward-looking statements and should be read with caution. Actual results may differ materially from those indicated by such forward-looking statements as a result of various important factors, including competitive yada yada, COVID-19 pandemic, economic downturn, climate change, global warming, pricing pressure, availability of the internet, may be subject to change without further relied upon representing companies view it, and he's like, yeah, YOLO, whatever. You, with this garbage statement, you also like invest in what, right? Not only do they not need to invest, also in what they have in RPM-based distributions, they have open build, whatever, infrastructure systems. What do they even, I don't get it, right? Instead of focusing on like having a proper Linux distribution, like other people like T2 or so, supporting as many architectures like this unsuccessful YouTuber here with 32 plus build variants and every freaking CPU ever supporting Linux. They fork something what is even the business case for this shit? They have, like, instead of investing 10 millions in their own Linux distribution, they fork another fork for another. Do we really need 2,000? As a running gag, I was counting here the number of Linux distributions. For the last 4 years live on YouTube, I was always slipping in a sentence of like, we have 1,500, 1,600, and I always kept some virtual counter in my head and tried to increment it sequentially here somewhat to 1,800, 1,900, 1,995, and recently crossing the 2,000 numbers of Linux distribution mark. And now, like, how many do we really need? 2010 freaking Linux distributions? Does maybe every Linux user on the internet needs their own Linux distribution? Maybe we actually need like 1 billion Linux distributions so everyone can have their own? I don't get it. It should be noted though that Dirk Peter van Leuven, the new chief of SuSE since recently, actually came from RedHat. According to this news from the 1st of May. 1st of April? Ah no, 1st of May. Previously, whatever, managing positions at RedHat and stuff. And new at SuSE, immediately tanking into the toilet. In similar news, SuSE, the company, previously in 2003 freaking acquired by Novell. Can we also clear the search? SuSE, the friendly company playing with your plush tux at home, first acquired in Novell, then acquired by Attachmate, then Attachmate, a Micro Focus merger, then acquired by OpenAttic, which by the way is an amazing name. Can like OpenAttic not like purchase all the other failing Linux distributions that fork their shit from each other? That's like RedHat, owned by RedHat, SuSE, and Oracle Broken Linux, owned by OpenAttic. Then acquired by HPE, OpenStack, and Staccato. Sale to EQT Partners, acquired by Rancher Labs, and as early in 2012, sources indicate that SuSE was preparing an IPO, but then being acquired, acquisition of Neu, actually announced the acquired Neu Vector Inc., a company, full life cycle container security, 430 million. This company wants to say something about preserving the choice in enterprise Linux. Where is even their place in enterprise Linux? Do they have a market share of 1% or 2%? Anyway, I don't get it. I find it hilarious. After 25, if I would not have the YouTube channel and actually a successful company, don't delay, probably visit our website and buy our commercial solutions for something today, or do amazing open source enterprise embedded desktop virtualization and stuff project with. If I would be involved in any of this stuff, I would actually get depressive. Like, obviously I have here my code therapy channel for a reason, because this is either you cry or you laugh. I mean, it's basically a 24/7 comedy show in the meantime. It's like, as I mentioned, what have these companies really substantially ever done for Linux? They just took all of the open source provided stuff and commercialized it. Sure, they gave a little bit back and stuff, but hey, it's a commercial capitalist system. They only are after profit and paying their shareholders and stuff. And That is why we can't have the of the Linux desktop, right? That is why Microsoft is still around. That is why instead of Linux gaining market share, Apple gained market share. Because as I said in today's press announcement, here on, all right, I have it here. As I mentioned in our press announcement, right? The desktop Linux community requires standardization, stability and consistency, says René Rebe, founder of the OpenT2SDE Linux. Xcode is bringing stability to the partners, customers and community. Where is the stability? What have this, if these companies would have seriously worked together, we would have already 80% market share and Windows would have 10 with this questionable code quality that Microsoft is pushing out there. That previously was DOS 16-bit Windows derived and Windows 95 without proper protection mode and stuff. And then even the Windows NT code base being rather quirky and with stuff like graphic drivers and font rendering moved into the kernel, no kidding. And all the other questionable code quality over the years. If we all would have worked together, in my opinion, Linux would have, in the meantime, 80% market share. But because everyone forks their shit from other people's stuff, and there are over 2,000 Linux distributions, what should customers choose? What should they choose? What should they run at home? What should they download to work and not work? Imagine all the Linux companies, instead of whining and forking each other, would have actually contributed substantial stuff, and not everyone another graphic environment. In the meantime, we have already 24 desktop environments, and all the other failed of Ubuntu's, I even forget what, Mir and whatever failed desktop variants of whatnot stuff. That is not consistency, that is not stability. That is pure chaos, and Microsoft is surely laughing. They, the one who has the last laugh, are Apple and Microsoft in this story. It is just said, it's ridiculous. Leave in the comments what you think. This is just hilarious. That is basically, in the meantime, this came down to the worst companies ever existed, including Oracle and IBM. It's like a pissing content. Who can piss the most against the freaking wind? Or alternatively, shooting themselves into the food while at it. It's ridiculous. I didn't even use any of the Linux distributions, right? Except SuSE in 1997, and that was such a miserable thing that I came to Rock Linux and maintained our own Linux distribution since then, right? Not to mention, I obviously never used Oracle's broken Linux or RedHat's. It's the source RPM stuff is not even nice to work with, right? You see me here power coding through Linux stuff. I couldn't power code. Like, there is a reason why we are so successful and run T2 with so few people, because it's just so natively open source and not this source RPM package mangled together like all those forks of RedHat forks do and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, it's ridiculous. If there's a word in the dictionary, some Linux distribution is called that. If there's a word in the dictionary, some Linux distribution is called like that. Ah, you mean for, yeah. If everyone has a Linux distribution, you mean we name. Yeah. Anyway, the key takeaway is companies, business to business, none of these companies ever cared about open source. They just happened to hire some people, pay some people, or do some project. But even some better file system, we had a dozen others. The world would have, the Linux and open source world would have continued without any of them. Even X3, I said it the other day, right? X386, that became Xorg. Even there they forked their stuff because people couldn't get along, right? Remember when Xorg forked off of X386 due to people not getting along? Like Linus Torvalds always shouting with everyone on the mailing list. and now people again, like now 2023 Linus Torvalds had to tell Bcache of SSO people to stay calm. Like, you know that the community has some problems when Linus flame warring Torvalds needs to tell other people to remain calm over file system, over the 25th or so file system. Anyway, that's it for this video. I have to go home. I hope you enjoyed this and learned something. I will probably, I mean, I do not plan really to make another video about this nonsense. It's not code, right? It's nothing positive. It's not any substantial improvement. It's show me the code, right? There is no code. There is only corporate bullshit and lawyers in this show. And what should another Oracle, or I mean, Oracle already had their own broken Linux, which ironically the most commercial expensive Linux distribution, Oracle's broken Linux, whining on ours is not publishing enough sources. Yeah, amazing times we live in. As if we don't have enough problems, as we don't have too little market share. You can, I don't know, are those submarined by ex-Microsoft employees? Are they all trying to undermine the Linux desktop efforts by bringing all those companies down, like ex-Microsoft people allegedly brought SGI down or so decades ago? It's all such a, it's hilarious. See you next time for some code to come. Otherwise, I mean, I don't really plan to make another video, but if this nonsense continues, maybe something is soon so hilarious that I should talk about this. See you next time.